one thing I've come to learn about practicing professional journalism in this country is that be prepared to be roasted and just insulted and be bullied online, and even sometimes it extends physically, because professional journalism that goes beyond and under over to reveal, expose, and unearth truths and facts is met with a lot of resistance, first of all, from political figures and sometimes the public. There's still that, mtu wetu, and don't tell this because it's gonna paint somebody like this and this and that. That's what journalism is. We expose the hidden to the people so that we air it, so that everybody knows you're a pedophile, everybody knows you're corrupt, everybody knows you're filthy. And I watched part of the broadcast, half of the broadcast online, the sit down between Yvonne Okwara and Rigathi Gachagua. And the first question that Yvonne asked was, why are you a tribalist? And most of you, from the sentiments and even your comments online, reactions, is that you're saying, oh, she tried to paint him as a tribalist and whatnot. But isn't that what this government has been consistently and continuously saying? So Yvonne Okwara was perfectly right. So as a journalist, when you're sitting down to interview a world leader, you're in charge of the temperature of that conversation. So you're the one to make it fever pitch high and extremely explosive. And then you go a little bit flat, and then it ends up really seamlessly, flawlessly well. So you always have trigger questions. Trigger questions are meant to reveal the emotional. In fact, the trigger question should expose that leader. Do you remember the Linus Kaikai interview in Joe Ageyo, when they interviewed the president, and Linus Kaikai asked the president, why don't people of Kenya trust you? There's an issue of trust deficit. And you almost saw the president react, oh, you Linus Kaikai, you have a thing for me. That's what we want. We want to expose you, the real you, the imbalanced emotional self. That's what people should know and see. Because as a leader, you should always be centered. You should always be centered. People should know that they're dealing with somebody who is mentally tiki boom, crazy, cuckoo. It should be revealed there on that show, live. It doesn't matter if it's on BBC, KTN, Citizen TV, Y254. It doesn't matter. And also open-ended closed questions sometimes. Open-ended closed questions, and then responsibility, accountability questions. And I believe Yvonne Okwara just exhausted everything because she's exactly there. She's there. That's excellent journalism. Yvonne Okwara will go down in history as one of the most, I'd say, according to me, avant-garde, because I'm a journalist to myself, avant-garde. She's just world-class and professional, according to me, Sakwa. So I don't care how you guys feel about her, because journalism in this country is not for the faint-hearted. You are abused, used, dumped, and then insulted, and then forgotten. If you're to compare professional journalists and how the journalism arena or sphere in the UK and the USA, all journalists who've had a tremendous career and accomplishments, and they've even put the country on the map with even life-changing stories and even interviews and coverage and whatnot. They're all indicted into their maybe Radio Hall of Fame or the TV Hall of Fame, and they get even to be recognized as honorees, and they win the avant-garde awards in excellence for excellence in their practice. They go down in history. They are studied. Their careers are used as case studies in higher learning institutions. But here in Kenya, ni mtu wetu, oh, usiniulize hii, this one will paint me like this. Yes, all the questions should paint you as exactly as filthy as you are. And in this country, even when you look at what's happening with our football matches right here, you remember at first the DRC versus Kenya. People just, when the team is defeated, you see people blacking out chest and nini, mbona umepiga timu yetu. There's that stupidity and that backwardism and literacy in most Kenyans, yeah. And it hinders professionalism. It hinders professionalism. Ama that envelope thing, envelope journalism. Oh, siniulize hii, itafanya watu wanione. Wanafaa kuone uchi. The devil you are should be exposed on that interview. I remember there's a time I was doing this sit-down interview with this lady, and she comes on set while she's being mic'd, and she's like, I can make my interview sweet and amazing. No, hell no. Hell no. Let your boyfriend make you amazing and sweet, not me. I'm here to actually dig in and rip you apart. In fact, by the time you're done interviewing that world leader, they should be running away from you and just sending emails to your team. But if you interview someone and they are done and they'll be like, thank you, bro, it's been amazing to meet you. You're taking selfies, canoodling and conundling. You did wrong. You did wrong. You failed as a journalist. You failed. The goal is to rip you apart and dig in hard until you surrender. Actually, that's the goal of journalism. Yeah, dig in so hard, especially with politicians. You go deep and maintain the tempo until it explodes. Yeah. But in this country, you be insulted, you be painted as oni mluya mbona namuuliza, oni mjaluo lakini amesema, and the jealousy, like there's a certain amnesia and backwardism in most Kenyans who hate professionalism because they are stuck in the doldrums and the miasma of confusion and background illiteracy and that skewed mental, yeah. But Yvonne Okwara did absolutely well, and she'd go down in history. I think maybe she's today's legacy media version of Catherine Kasavu.